Well, the relationship, which already was not good at all, has now become much worse than before after this terrorist attack. India has announced some very strong measures, diplomatic measures, the most important being the Indus Waters Treaty being held in abeyance till Pakistan mends its ways. And since it won't mend its ways, so in a sense, the Indus Waters Treaty would de facto be abrogated, or India will withdraw from it. Number two, some severe reprisals on other fronts, reducing the size of the diplomatic missions to 30, which actually makes the working of the diplomatic missions almost, I won't say impossible, but ineffectual. Because this 30 is a misconception. Reducing it to 30 means diplomats. No, it means the entire supporting staff. More important than this is annulling the posts of the defense, naval, and air attaches of Pakistan in India, and of course, India withdrawing its own attaches from Pakistan. And then closing the Wagah border, which means no trade. This will also have some problems for Afghanistan because this route has been used by Afghanistan for some trade with India. So this will make the Afghans unhappy, more unhappy with Pakistan. And then canceling all the visas given to Pakistanis under the SAARC visa, some dispensation that was there under SAARC. So in short, I would say that all the necessary diplomatic steps that needed to be taken have been taken, and a strong message has gone to Pakistan. Now the question is, will other steps follow, which actually means at two levels. One, of course, is the international diplomacy part, which actually is all right. It will be necessary and can be helpful, provided we have decided to take some form of kinetic action, some kind of military action. Now, if you take military action, then you need international support, because there will be countries, as usual, who will advise, caution, who will advise restraint, who will advise lowering of tensions, who will advise dialogue on diplomacy. So you get into that kind of a narrative. But the provocation that has come from Pakistan is such that things cannot remain purely at the diplomatic level. Pakistan is defiant, which makes things worse. The speech of the Pakistani army chief a few days ago was extremely provocative. And in fact, could actually have been one of the motivations of the terrorists. Must probably incentivize them to do what they did. So with that kind of defiance coming at the highest level in Pakistan, the people who actually wield power within that country, means that there is no reasonable expectation that Pakistan will own its mistakes or begin to change its policies, which means, therefore, that some additional steps will become inevitable.
Reacting to it, Pakistan Minister of Power Awais Likhari has reacted to India's suspension of Indus Water Treaties and said that each drop is theirs by right, and they will defend it with full force, legally, potentially, politically, and globally. So, what
He can
options?
talk. He can say what he wants to say.
Yes, yes.
This is just, there's nothing. What can they do? I mean,
Yes.
India, first of all, is not going to stop the flow of water to Pakistan. That's not the intention. The intention is that Pakistan has made the working of the Indus Waters Treaty extremely difficult, because under the treaty, we have certain rights to set up power projects, run-of-the-river power projects on the three rivers allocated to Pakistan. But Pakistan has made sure over the years to put a spanner in the works, delay these projects, force us into arbitration or have a neutral observer in the first instance, look at our designs and everything else, object to those designs. There have been inordinate delays in implementing these projects. And one political purpose behind this, apart from whatever Pakistan may say, was to prevent the development of power in Jammu and Kashmir, which has always suffered from shortage of power. And this was, in a way, to continue to create an issue in Jammu and Kashmir where the public would be unhappy that they are suffering from power shortages. Not to make the lives of the Kashmiri comfortable by the government of India. So what we'll now do by this suspension of the treaty is that we'll go ahead with these projects. We don't need to consult Pakistan about our designs, and we don't want to give the World Bank or anybody else any role, which would create a lot of concern in Pakistan, because the handle that they were using to not only delay our projects, but to make us redesign the projects on the basis that whatever we were designing would result in a shortfall of flows in water to Pakistan. So if we go ahead and do what we want to do in terms of the viability of our projects, to prevent the silting of the projects, to have a proper pondage, etc., which would mean actually some kind of decline in the flows of water to Pakistan. That is the medium to longer term danger. And that's why this step that has been taken is a strategic step. It's not a tactical step which will result immediately in stopping or reducing the flow of water to Pakistan. Pakistan has to look ahead and will realize that this is a very, very dangerous thing for Pakistan, given climate change issues, the decline in flows of water in the Indus River basin, in any case, because of melting of glaciers, and the total dependence of Pakistan on the waters of Indus and the three rivers allocated to them. So it's a very potent decision that government of India has taken. No, on the contrary, it's amazing that, and I know this from my own personal experience, that countries that have been hesitant in the past to actually take positions in favor of India on account of terrorist activities by Pakistan against India have now changed their approach altogether. We've had after all, Pakistan has been engaged in terrorism against India since the middle 1980s. And we've not had international support, beginning with the Americans, as also large parts of the Islamic world, as also other global South countries, which have tried to say as little as possible, not point fingers at Pakistan at all. Generally speaking, decrying terrorism, which is very easy because everybody decries terrorism, but hesitating to target Pakistan as the source of terrorism. This has been changing in our joint statements with many countries. There have been now references to cross-border terrorism. And the meaning of that is clear without naming Pakistan. These countries indirectly are holding Pakistan responsible when they talk about cross-border terrorism. But this time, I think it is a success of our diplomacy and the case that we've been making out about Pakistan's use of terrorism as state policy and its repeated terrorist attacks against India and other countries is that the United States, look at President Trump himself, the kind of statement he's issued, or the Secretary of State, or the Vice President of the United States, or the Deputy Secretary of State, or the State Department per se. and individual congressmen who come out with very strong statements. The EU has come out with a very strong statement at the level of van der Leyen. Saudi Arabia has come out with a strong statement. UAE. So many I've seen on X. So many countries have come out with very strong statements on this issue, expressing full support for India. The Iranian statement is, in a sense, especially important because Iran and Pakistan have had exchanges, military exchanges with each other because of Iran's complaints about Pakistani soil being used for terrorism in Iran, and Pakistan reacting to that. The Iranian statement, if you look at it carefully, talks about this terror attack having taken place in Pahalgam, India. This is important because the message here is that Jammu and Kashmir belongs to India. This is an advance on the positions that the Islamic world has been taking and others have been taking. They refer to terrorist attacks in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. So that there's a bit of an equivocation because of the so-called disputed in inverted commas status of Jammu and Kashmir. But the Iranian statement talks about Pahalgam, India. So I think we've got a great deal of international support. And if based on that, we decide to take some military action, I think much of the world will understand our compulsion in doing so.
That's all from my end. Would you like to add on something to this? Any additional inputs that you would like to give?
Well, I think the public mood is such that, and the Prime Minister's own statement today, which is very, very strong, would suggest that things are not going to end only with diplomatic steps. The fact that an all-party meeting has been convened normally should mean that the government is intending to take some other steps. And before they do that, they want to have build an internal consensus in the country and ensure that the opposition parties are not only informed about the gravity of the situation, but would not criticize any action by the government, because there always have been voices in the opposition parties and in the NGOs and the civil society about reaching out to Pakistan, dialogue with Pakistan, playing sports with Pakistan, and things like that. In other words, the government policy has not been always fully supported at all levels of our society. So this all-party meeting would be important in this context of building a solid all-party political base for any action that the government might intend to take in the coming days or weeks.